We're on the record, Your Honor.
That break was longer than we expected, but it was good. It was good. I needed that. So we're back on the record, Church v. Johnson. And before we continue, I would like a status update on, is there a criminal investigation going on or is there not? Who knows?
I last time I talked to the detective said there was. I will reach out to him again because we're here tomorrow as well, and I will reach out for you.
Okay.
I don't talk to him regularly. Sorry.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
Weeks ago?
What?
A few weeks ago?
A few weeks ago.
I can represent that they still have not reached out to Ms. Church, and Ms. Church informs me that as far as she knows, they haven't reached out to Mr. Hansen either.
Okay, thank you.
And I will reach out to him and I will report back what I hear.
Okay, because I recall you saying on the record, Ms. Cole, that they're doing other things.
That's what he told me a few weeks ago.
Okay. All right.
But, you know, I honestly, I've been pretty swamped lately, and I just didn't even think about it before today, or I would have.
Okay.
I apologize.
It's just,
had a lot going on.
I mean, I know you're not in control of this in the least, but in the balance hangs this little girl who hasn't seen her mom in a really long time, and they're related. So, I mean, the situation, the circumstances, they're related. So, all right. I'm just anxious for some resolution, as I know everybody else is. All right, so we're back on. It's 4:15, and you may continue, Ms. Cole.
So, you had a DUI before?
Yes, ma'am.
When have you had a DUI?
I want to say 12 to 15 years ago, maybe.
Okay, because there's a reference to a DUI in your criminal history. Do you have any other criminal history?
No, ma'am.
I guess for the record, we can turn to 669 of Exhibit W. And you'll see in the middle of this list, these are all the cases that have been opened regarding your family. It looks like in the middle there is the one on Trey, 11/13/21. And if you look all the way to the right, the findings are unsubstantiated on all of them except for Trey's where it says substantiated. Just wanted to make sure that was part of the record.
Are any of these Oh, okay. I was going to say, are any of these allegations against Mom? I see that.
Yes, there was one or two.
Okay, I see that. January 9th, 2022 and January 9th, 2022. So one for sexual abuse, neglect, sexual risk, and physical injury, neglect, physical risk. And those are both unsubstantiated as well.
Yes.
All right.
All right. So I want to talk about the allegation that you made that the findings of the nurse on January 9th were that Madison had been assaulted. Is that your position on the SANE exam?
I'm not sure which exam. When I read the document, I just interpret diagnosis being she was sexually assaulted.
Okay. So let's turn to Bates number 679 of that same exhibit. And there's one paragraph on that page. So it says on January 9th, CFS intake received another CPS report, allegation of physical risk, allegation of sexual risk, and sexual penetration against Brooks. As you took Madison to UMC so the minor could undergo a sexual abuse allegation. So it says, per Jessica, several people in her daughter's life have been sexually abusing Madison while she's been in Brooks' care, including him. The claims of sexual abuse as to Brooks have been investigated in the recent past and were found to be unsubstantiated. In addition, Jessica was found to have been asking leading questions and is stated to frequently make false reports of sexual abuse against Brooks and various others. Then on January 10th, because it was after midnight, the specialist responded to UMC and met with you. The detective observed the child, spoke with medical staff. Mother is adamant that several people, including Brooks and MGM Virginia, sodomized her daughter and exploiting her by making child pornography videos and taking various photos. Contact was made with Dr. Warren, who advised that the child has a history of constipation and a small fissure was observed. Sane nurse Jerry Dermanilian conducted a SANE exam and determined there was no physical evidence of sexual abuse. Okay, so does that clarify that the SANE exam at the hospital on January 9th was also, the final diagnosis was there was no abuse?
Yes, according to this document, yes. But I do want to clarify that since I did have my recording device, the constipation thing keeps getting pushed. That was never something that I asserted. And when I was speaking to Jerry, I told her that since Madison has been seeing her father, she has been sick always. Always sick and always having an upset stomach. And I feel like that's because the abuse is taking a toll on her physically. I told her I was not aware of her bathroom behaviors that prior week because I was not with her. I feel like that's taken out of context.
Okay, but it says right after that the doctor at the UMC advised the investigator that you were speaking and describing the alleged incidents right in front of Madison.
Yes, Madison was sleeping in the same room, but that was at no fault to me. I was taken into this room, and Jerry was asking me questions in front of Madison while she was sleeping. I did not provide this, the scene. I was only doing what I was advised to do. I sat down. She was questioning me. If she did not think that that was a proper thing to do, then she should not have put me in her office and asked me questions. But Madison was sleeping during that time.
Okay, but it doesn't say that. It just says is that you were making all these statements right in front of your daughter is what the report says. And if you look on
I'm sorry.
If you look on the next page, 680, it says they staffed the case and determined there was no significant, immediate, or clearly observable present danger to the child, and that you, natural mother, reported that you had just picked up the child, and there were no positive medical findings to support the sex abuse allegations, and that you have made several unfounded allegations of sex abuse against your daughter in the past, and that you appear to be leading and coaching Madison to make statements. So, this is what the doctor said on January 10th. I'm sorry, the investigator. Then, in addition to going through a second SANE exam, which was a
That was the first
invasive,
SANE exam, by the way. There was
the
only
second
one.
sexual abuse exam,
Okay.
the first full SANE exam, yes.
Mm-hmm.
She was then had to sit and be forensically interviewed again on February 3rd, which it talks about that on page 720. Where her forensic interview, she made no allegations of sexual abuse. Said that mommy makes me lie. That you continue to report the abuse, making statements that your daughter is being sodomized, that her human rights are being taken away, and that everyone who doesn't believe you is being paid off.
That's the last part of that is ridiculous. But I will say that I have come to a point where my child is in desperate need of help. My child is being sexually assaulted, and she is very clear about what's happening to her. The fact that she can't represent that to other people, I don't understand why that's not being looked at as a normal thing for a child to want to talk about something that's so hard for them emotionally to a stranger. Madison is being sexually assaulted, and I have, as her mother, it is my duty to fight for her. I will never stop fighting for this because this is happening.
Don't you think it's harmful for your daughter to have you fighting for something that there's no evidence of about her own father?
Just because there's no evidence that you guys can take as what you consider evidence, my child, as her mother, is begging me for help. She's reaching out for me to help, and I will never stop trying to help her. She's a victim. She is a victim.
All right, so no matter what the judge does with this case, with your contact with your child, you will never facilitate a positive relationship with your child and Brooks because you believe he's a pedophile, even though you don't have proof.
That's not what I'm saying. Is that from a legal standpoint, I will never, for the rest of my life, I will never stop fighting for Madison to get justice. My daughter matters. She's a person. Her human rights are being violated because she's not being taken care of. She is being allowed to be sex trafficked. Absolutely. And I believe that my recording that I have of her at the hospital, I believe that there's also a video that I submitted to CPS on Friday of me singing Madison to sleep, where she's crying, telling me if I can find her, if she's cut up and thrown in a lake. And then she asks me if I can find her if I have no arms and legs. I believe that these things are very relevant to the abuse that Madison is enduring at the hands of her father. He's an abusive person, and his record shows that.
All right, so then not only are you making these allegations against Brooks, but it goes on to say that after you said that her human rights are being taken away and everyone's being paid off, you also said the custody court judge is against you and that Brooks's boss paid the judge off. Okay? Now, you were recommended to complete a mental health assessment the first time you were interviewed by Options, not by Options director that was testifying, but by their clinical therapist. Correct? Reading that? Very first time when you did your intake, they issued a report saying that you needed a mental health assessment. You recall that?
What page are we on, Lauren?
The options reports, very first option report.
Is there a page number that I can look at?
Why? I do have it.
Okay, sorry.
Wait, Ms. Cole,
I'm
before you
confused.
move on, I didn't realize you were changing the subject. Before you move on, I'd like to know, do you believe this, Ms. Church, that...
I don't recall saying that specifically.
No, well, let me ask the question so we have a clear record on what it is that I'm asking. Do you believe that everyone who does not believe the abuse is being paid off?
Absolutely not. And I feel like that is a very general statement to say. But what I do think is that as this has been progressing since September, it has been very difficult for me as a mother to know that my child is going through something so horrific and I am just sitting on my hands and I can't help her. And I've been trying to, I guess, understand or try to, give reasoning for why Madison hasn't been, helped or taken out of this situation that she's in. And I feel like I have, gone through a lot of different stages of emotion. And initially I thought, okay, well, they're busy, they're not, getting all the information that needs to be seen. I thought that, maybe people were just ignoring stuff. I feel like I have made a lot of people, especially the CPS agents, I have made them mad, and I have to understand that people doing these investigations are not robots. They're human. Their emotions, whether or not they want to admit it, their emotions do guide them in their decisions. And I feel like that I have influenced a lot of people. I also know that one of the people who is sexually abusing Madison has a company that revenues $32 million a year. He's a pedophile. His brother's a convicted pedophile. He has people working for him that are pedophiles. He surrounds himself with pedophiles, okay? And I know that when you are a sexual predator, you will do anything that you can to make sure that you are not caught. Like Lauren said earlier, if Brooks was found to be guilty of these things by the law, then he would go to prison for a very long time. I do not put it past anyone to do anything that they can to make sure that their crimes, their secrets, their sexual assaults are covered up. And I know that Craig, I don't want him involved in this case. I wish that he wasn't abusing my child. But the fact is, he's abusing my child. He is.
Who is?
Mr. Johnson's boss at his work.
Oh,
So
is that who you're talking about, the $32 million
yes, ma'am.
company? Okay.
So on the audio that I spoke of previously, which I'm very worried about even sharing this, because I know that Mr. Johnson is going to punish Madison for this. But on the audio that I said earlier, so when we went on January 9th to the UMC, I thought that Brooks when Madison told me at Donna's house, Daddy got my bottom again, my heart dropped. And we have, the investigation, the CPS stuff, the police reports. I didn't think that he was going to continue to sexually abuse her during, his time with her. I told 3 Donna's house employees about what Madison had told me when she said it. When we went to the hospital, I was still under the impression that her father had just got her bottom one time, that this wasn't an everyday occurrence, that she wasn't put back in this, lifestyle that she has been living. She told me during this time in the hospital room that my mom had been doing it to her. Still, during those 2 weeks, almost every day, she thinks wasn't going to school. She's going to my mom's house, she said, most days. She also told me, and this is like, I'm so worried that the repercussions that Madison is going to have. But she told me that Daddy took me to his work, and I have her recorded saying this. And it's natural. And like I said, I haven't talked to Maddie in 2 weeks prior to this. And this audio is raw and uncut. There's no way that I could coach her. There's no way I could feed her any information. She said, Mommy, Daddy took me to his work, and I went to Craig's office. Craig was doing paperwork. When he was done doing paperwork, he stuck his finger in my bottom and took pictures with his phone. She also told me that Craig takes pictures with his phone. My mom takes pictures with her phone. Her dad takes pictures with the regular camera. I'm not making this up. My daughter is a victim, and I know that there is no link that a person will go to cover up what they're doing. So do I think that it's possible that this person that has millions of dollars, that is involved in pedophilia and has pedophiles surrounding him in his business, that he would do what he can to make sure that it stays a secret? Yes, I do. I believe that possibly it's a possibility, yes. And do I believe that people seem to have been influenced? Yes, like Gwendolyn Wright. I feel like she was heavily influenced. I feel like she did not give me the proper attention that I deserve as a mother who was reaching out for help to CPS, who's supposed to be there to help me. She refused to help me. She refused to even listen to me. And in her report that I read the last hearing, it was very biased. And she did not even have any time to give me to share my story, to share what I have been told by Madison. And I feel like that's very, very telling. And do I think that maybe I have said some things out of, emotion and out of anger and out of I've gone through every type of emotion, and I don't understand why Madison is still being abused and why I can't help her. And I don't think that I apologize for what I said if I said something about you, because I believe that you have been presented information that makes it seem like I'm doing something wrong, and that is also because I believe that Craig has done this so many times that he knows exactly what to do. I feel like Brooks has been fed information about what to do as far as making it deflect from this sexual assault, because I feel like he is a professional. That I honestly believe that Craig has been doing this for a long time, and I know Madison is not his first victim. Why would you sodomize a child inside your company office? She's not the first victim.
What is Craig's last name?
Wiseman.
I know you've told us before. How do you spell that?
Wiseman.
Okay, thank you. And the name of the company is his dad's employer,
Spacecraft Components.
Okay, thank you.
So my mother lives about 1 mile from Spacecraft Components. Brooks moved. They all live within a couple miles radius. And Madison says that instead of going to schools most days, she's being taken to my mother's house where my mom has a photo studio set up, and that's where the photos are being taken of her. It's sexually explicit photos. And Brooks has said in the past that this is my mother's business. This is how she makes her money, and I know this is happening, and I just need to figure out a way to make other people see what's going on, because I believe that once that this is uncovered, that this is going to expose a whole network of pedophiles and sexual abuse that's been happening to a lot of kids for a long time.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Cole. Ms. Cole, you turned off your mic.
Right, I'm sorry. You talked a lot about Brooks colluding with your mother, but they didn't even speak for almost 2 years.
I don't know about their communication, and anything that he says to me, I don't really tend to believe right off the bat.
Mr. Johnson, I know we're really close to the end of the testimony here, but I've been pretty liberal about your reactions. I know it's hard not to react, but you're nodding your head or shaking your head or reacting. I need you to stop, please.
Understood, Your Honor. I apologize.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Cole.
Considering this amount of people you're lodging allegations against and the type of allegations you're making, why not have someone like a private investigator investigate this for you if you're so convinced that your daughter is being mistreated?
Honestly, I have been doubting every single thing that I do. I feel like every single thing that I have done up to this point has been twisted and used against me. And I have I've contacted a private investigator, and I've thought about hiring him. But my fear was that Mr. Johnson was somehow going to twist that and make it seem like he was being followed for nefarious reasons. I've thought about it, and I have contacted one, but I didn't go through with hiring him.
So you would agree that your hyper-focus on your child being a victim and you being a victim does deflect from your drug tests, right?
Object to the Foreman Foundation.
Yeah, can you maybe rephrase that or break that down maybe?
Well, as long as we are constantly talking about abuse allegations, because we know there's no physical evidence. We know that this is something that you continue to bring up and reinforce, even though we don't have evidence after multiple investigations. So, are you doing it to distract from your drug abuse?
No, and your theory would only work if I had positive drug tests up to the point that I initially reported the sexual abuse. I have never in my life, up to you sending me to options, I've never had a positive drug test. And that didn't come until months after I initially reported the sexual abuse.
Okay, but you were ordered to take drug tests and you didn't show up.
Yes, ma'am. And I feel like we've gone over this, and I tried as hard as I could to get to that first initial drug test. And I was very worried about seeing Mr. Johnson there. And when I had gone to test again there, I actually, I don't think I've ever brought this up, but the lady at ATI told me that Mr. Johnson had been there and left 2 times and was supposed to come back a 3rd time that day. So I felt like he was trying to, make contact with me. And that was one of the reasons why the first initial time I was trying to make it so I was going at the end of the day so I wouldn't have any contact with Mr. Johnson. I have my Google Maps showing I was there at 1 minute later. I even tried to go to the other drug testing facility. And for my second drug test, it's an error on my part. Yes. Does that mean that I'm a drug addict because I did not make it to my appointment? Absolutely not. That means that I'm human, and the second one, I did not know that I needed to be tested. The first one, I was late. I messed up. But I've never had a positive drug test until options. And options as well, if you Google options online, the reviews on their business are not good. And I've gotten to contact with a lot of mothers that are in the same position as me that are saying that options has faulty testing. I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but a lot of people are saying that their lives have been ruined and they blame it on options. I'm not the only one.
All right. Well, it says right here in the CPS report, the same page we were on, 720, you were recommended to complete mental health assessment and treatment and had positive tests, but you continue to deny recent drug use and state the positive meth results are from your prescription of Prozac.
I didn't say that was the definite reason why the tests were positive. I was saying that I do not know why the tests were positive. The only thing unnatural that I'm intaking into my body is my Prozac. So that's the only thing I could think of. I was just throwing it out there because I do not take drugs.
Do you believe someone's been drugging you, or how do you think they got in your system?
I don't know. I just know when I go to ATI that their tests don't show the same results.
But you're not taking the same tests. You're being tested every single day of the week on a patch.
I'm not sure how it works. I know that there's, a class action lawsuit that people are trying to get together to sue the patch making company because of the faulty positives. If you Google it is, there's a lot of people who are saying that this program has ruined their life and gotten their children to stay with their abusers, just like me. A lot of people.
All right, so then it says that Brooks has maintained his innocence. He notes concerns for Madison being subject to medical exams, forensic interviews, and investigation with CPS and law enforcement. He's been cooperative, and he completed a polygraph, which results he is not being deceptive. And Madison did not disclose sexual abuse. What more do you want to see to show that Brooks is not abusing your child? Or is there nothing that can happen, nothing that anyone can do?
All I can say is that Mr. Johnson, if he truly was not abusing Madison, out of 20-something video calls, he has never let Madison communicate freely with me. And there's a reason why he does not let Madison communicate freely with me. There's a reason. If he had nothing to hide, he would just put the phone and then walk away and let Madison have a great time with me. He does not. There's a reason.
I believe that there was a hearing where we talked about that, and he setting the phone or the iPad up and leaving it alone with her and you.
And he's never done that. He's been told over and over and over again to leave the
Right.
room, to stop coaching, to stop holding the phone. He has not done that one time, not once.
All right, so
There's a reason.
okay. So your testimony, and I want to make sure it's clear.
Yes.
Your testimony is that he has never once left the phone or the device with Madison, and he's always there holding it and
Yes,
coaching
ma'am.
her.
So the last, he's trying to get more tricky about doing it, but he's always still in the room. And I just broke down every single call, for Richard so he could like see the breakdown of everything. But literally, he's either telling her, you can hear him on almost every call. He's telling her what to do. He's standing to the side. It's so obvious to me that Madison is not a free person to say and do what she wishes during these calls. I feel like once the judge sees the videos, that it's just going to be understood that Mr. Johnson is so worried about her having the freedom to communicate with me, because there's a reason he doesn't want her to talk about the sexual abuse or any abuse.
Know that we in a court order stipulated that Brooks was to be there in case you say something inappropriate.
It's ridiculous.
That's what the court order says.
Well, Your Honor, there
So
was-
for you
I'm
for
just
you to
gonna
come to
back there.
court,
Stand
And
right.
it's-
She's let her finish and then make your objection, sir. Go ahead, Ms. Cole.
I was just saying, for you to accuse Brooks of some wrongdoing when he was doing what we agreed he would do, you think that that's reasonable?
And Your Honor, my objection is that there were at least 2 admonishments to Mr. Johnson after that, and I believe 3 by now, that he was not to hold the camera, he was not to stand in line of sight of Madison, he was not to direct her, he was to let the call go forward, and...
Is this an objection?
He's not there. Yes, the question's improper because it misstates the facts of the misstates the legal history of the case.
All right, we just had that conversation recently. This is an order from January.
And she's referring to videos from May 9th, 4
Okay.
days ago. So what's the point? That was back in January. Since there's been 3 more admonishments.
Are you referring to videos recently?
Yes, specifically the one on last Friday where she had the busted mouth, and Mr. Johnson just refused to, leave the room, stop holding the camera, and directing her and telling her what to say.
Okay.
And for the record, I uploaded that to the shared Dropbox file that I have with Ms. Cole because I do plan on using that exhibit in my redirect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, when you sent me a Dropbox link, you sent me videos that ended in March.
I just uploaded it. It was May 9th, and we're now May
Well-
11th.
All of the videos should be uploaded then.
Your client has access to the Talking Parents videos. I'm happy to submit every Talking Parent video to the court if that's what's being asked.
I mean, that's what they're meant for. Talking Parents communications are meant to be shared with the court anytime the court wants them.
I'm not sure what I'm being asked.
Take them
I'm
under
not sure either.
advisement.
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
the parenting apps are intended to be accessible by the attorneys and the judge.
I planned on playing probably 5 or 6 videos so that the court gets an idea of what my client is stating occurs. I wasn't planning on playing 3 videos a week for the last 5 months worth to the court. So I'm not sure what I'm being asked of, but I have provided to Ms. Cole the videos that I plan on utilizing in my redirect.
Well, and what I'm saying is, because I think it's only reasonable, that because of in the interest of time, I mean, of course you can spend your time how you want it on your examination, but if the court wants, we can have all of the communications from Talking Parents and all of the videos submitted to the court under advisement if the court wants.
That'd be amazing.
Well, I'm not gonna sit and watch everything. I just want to see what is relevant. And when you spoke earlier, Ms. Cole, about how it wouldn't be appropriate for Dad to submit all of his videos, because you said that he's recording inside of his house 24/7, and how should he prove a negative, and that he shouldn't have to provide the videos that show nothing, I would argue the opposite. I think that if the purpose of him recording is to show that he's not doing anything, that there's no wrongdoing, he should produce those videos to Ms. Church.
He did.
She may want to take the time to review them and ensure that absolutely nothing is happening that's untoward or that shouldn't be going on.
Okay.
Isn't that the purpose of them, to show
As
that?
as I said to Miss Church earlier, I did put videos in Discovery. I said I'm not going to spend all day at trial playing a video that has nothing on it, Your Honor.
I'm not asking you to. I'm saying you should produce them.
I did. I said I did. I said I submitted the videos in Discovery. We also gave them all to CPS.
Oh, all right. I did not understand that. You said
No,
I
it's
thought
okay.
you said why should you produce them? But I think you
Oh,
should.
I said.
And then
I
if
said, why should-
Ms. Church wants to watch them, she certainly can.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I. Yes, I just didn't want to play them at trial for 3 days.
Of course. No, I misunderstood what you said earlier. Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not asking counsel to testify, but this is a very, as I thought that I had made very clear, this is a very big point that I do not want Dad interfering with Mom's video chats. So apparently, what I just heard Ms. Church saying is that she provided videos that show Dad's interference in the video chats, and she has produced those to her attorney. And Mr. Schoenfeld intends to play those for the court during his redirect examination. So I would like to hear from Mr. Schoenfeld. Are those videos, now you've reviewed them, are they going to show, so this is kind of argument now, are they going to show that Mr. Johnson is indeed interfering with these video chats?
Yes, Your Honor.
What are they going to show specifically?
So the one from May, if the court will give me, I don't need to play them, but
No.
let me look at them so I can, I just had
I
them.
think Friday was May 5th.
Yeah, the May 5th one is going to show he is in the first several minutes of the chat.
It's only a 2-minute call.
What is it that he's doing?
So Madison apparently jumped and fell off the bed. Madison was
During the
then-
video or prior to the video?
Immediately before, apparently.
Okay.
So Madison is then seen in the video, and she goes under the covers, which she often does in the video chats. She plays a game with her mom where she's pretending like she's not there, and then she scares her.
Sure.
So she's under the covers. She is not crying. Mr. Johnson comes in the room, lies down on the bed next to her, and basically says, "Are you okay?" Then she starts crying, and Miss Church says, "Maddie, you're okay. Come, talk to me. I'll make you feel better. Why don't you, take deep breaths like we do? It makes you feel better." And Mr. Johnson stays there the whole time, just telling her, interfering. Instead of allowing her to communicate with her mom, even though, she may have been hurt, she was capable of communicating without having that interference.
He
That was
asked
the
her
one
what
on Friday.
happened. Tell mommy what happened to you. Like he's trying to force her to give the lie to me.
No, that's not okay. Mr. Johnson, I don't know how many ways I can say this. You were to be invisible.
I'm the light.
Invisible.
So there's other
Say
videos
one
where
thing,
you
Your
can
Honor.
see fingers in front, for like a split second or half a second, you see a finger in front of the camera, which obviously means that someone's standing there behind the camera.
Right, but he's not to interfere in line of sight, but he's supposed to be there, remember? We have a court order that says he's to be in the room.
That interfering, Ms. Cole, is not the same thing as being in the room. You can be in
I
the room
understand.
and not interview. Please don't interrupt me, Ms. Cole.
Sorry.
You,
I'd really like to say something when I have a chance.
obviously, I'm aware. So would I. It's possible for him to be in the room and not interfere. I said I do not want him in line of sight. I want him to be behind the child so that the child essentially completely forgets that there's another individual in the room. And he's not to speak. He's not to hold the video. Or I don't know if is it an iPad or is it a phone that she's using? Do we know?
I don't know.
You can't tell from watching.
You can't tell from
I'm
watching
assuming
it.
it's a phone. And
Assuming it's a phone. Okay, well, let her hold it. If she drops it and runs out of the room, you can end the call. If she says that she's coming back in the room, then just don't touch it. Just stay there where you are until she comes back in the room. She might have gone to run to get a doll or something to be able to show her mom. But you are to be silent, as if you are not even there. You are not to engage in a conversation with Miss Church at all. You are not to tell the child what to tell her mom. Let her mom talk to the child and do not interrupt. Do not interject. Like you are not in the room. If you cannot do this, then I'm going to order that these calls are going to be completely confident, private, where you're not allowed to be in the room if you cannot comply with my orders. This is your last chance.
May I?
Do you understand, Mr. Johnson?
I completely understand, Your Honor. I would just say that I think it's being misrepresented, and I never hold the phone. I set it on the dresser,
Okay.
and I leave the room.
All
I would
right.
like, if I would have the opportunity to explain what I do during the call, maybe that would be beneficial to the court. I could give you my normal procedure as to what I do for the call, and that might give you some insight into what it is like.
Well, obviously this is going to come out when the court actually sees the calls, but I have the attorney sitting here telling me that he's observed the calls, and this is his observation as well as Ms. Church's. Ms. Cole, I will hear from you.
Well, I just wanted to say, and I appreciate the passion about making sure that the video calls are being handled properly. But, you know, we just went through 2 days of testimony where my client was called a pedophile, and now we don't have any evidence. We just have somebody saying something happened, and my client is being reprimanded for something that hasn't even been shown to anyone in court. It's just a statement that's being made by Ms. Church. Every time we've been in trial, at the end of the day, my client has been reprimanded for something that there's never been any evidence put on the record for.
Okay, except that I just heard an officer of the court saying he also observed the videos.
Yeah, that he walked in for the first minute because she fell off the bed, and he set the phone down and his finger was in the screen for a minute. That's what Mr. Schoenfeld said.
Have you seen the videos, Ms. Cole?
I've seen some of them, not all of them, and the one from May is not uploaded in Mr. Schoenfeld's Dropbox, so I don't know what he's even referring to, because I just had my paralegal double check again, and she said that there is nothing from May 9th in there. And earlier today, because he just uploaded them this morning, and I had other things. I had court all morning too.
Well, of course.
And when I didn't have a chance to look at what he'd uploaded, so I asked my paralegal to do it, and she told me there was nothing more recent than March in there.
Okay.
So I don't know personally if you will give me an opportunity to watch whatever's in there, because I have not had the opportunity.
Of course.
Tonight, I can comment, but I don't appreciate, and I understand, Your Honor, you're trying to do the right thing, but I think it's only fair to reprimand my client after we know there is this situation, rather than just an accusation. Miss Church is also accusing him of sexually molesting the child.
I've heard. That's a rumor that I have heard, yes.
A rumor. She has called every authority for months.
I was being facetious. I'm saying it's a rumor that she is accusing him. I was being facetious. She has said it literally over and over and over. Yes, I'm aware.
So to just take her word for anything seems...
didn't, counsel. I confirmed it with an officer of the court who had also seen them. And to the extent that they may be going on, I wanted to be very clear. That's why I didn't immediately say that they're going to be confidential. I said that we're going to, I'm going to give them a last chance until I can see these videos. Because I haven't seen them, you haven't seen them, I haven't expected you to see them, especially if you just uploaded them. But I'm saying I want to be very clear if I have not been very clear in the past.
Yes, and he's denied the allegations every time as well.
Well, we're going to find out. So
yes, we're going to watch them, and we're going to go ahead and...
It's only a 2-minute call on Friday.
I got them on my computer. It'll take 2 minutes. We can watch them right now.
Literally a 2-minute phone
well,
call.
we all have to watch it sometime. Let's watch it right now. He says he's got it on his... Are you able to...
I need to log on to Blue Jeans, and then I can screen share them.
All right.
But just so the court's aware, I did not have a chance to look at this before right now.
So do you not want to see it, or do you want to wait until?
I do want to see it. I do want to see
Well,
it.
I
Let's
mean,
watch it.
do you not want him to play it right now? If you don't want him to play it right now, I'll respect that, and we'll look at it tomorrow.
Well, you should prove his innocence if he's not doing anything. The most hard part for me with these phone calls is I want Madison to be in a good place. I want her for 15 minutes to feel good, to be happy, to feel loved. I am under, Mr. Johnson's thumb. He ends the phone calls whenever he wants. If he sees Trey on the call, he ends it. On Friday, when I said, you're such a good director, he ended the call after 2 minutes. I have written down on the desk over there how many times he's actually just hung up on me without letting me say goodbye to Madison. And like I said before, it's 3/4 of the time. It's like I can't have a relationship with my daughter because Mr. Johnson's not allowing it.
Miss,
Did you add him to the breakout? Bring him over to the breakout where we're at apart?
Yes, let's see here.
okay, stand by. If you would like to step down, Ms. Church, you can do that. I think we're done with the testimony for today.
I've told court that I will watch all the videos in the Dropbox tonight, and if he can play any of the ones he wants, and I can play any of the ones that I think that are relevant, and we can get this done. I would prefer an opportunity to at least look at these videos. That I don't know what he's put in the Dropbox. I would like the opportunity to at least look at them before court.
To look at them before what?
Before we are in court, like to have a chance to review them.
Are you scheduled for? We're coming back tomorrow, right?
Yes, no.
Are you scheduled for a video chat tonight?
No, on Thursday is my next call with her.
Tomorrow night. Okay. All right. Well, then it's not necessary for the court to see it tonight, Mr. Schoenfeld. We'll look at it tomorrow. I'm assuming Mr. Schoenfeld's going to have the ability to question his client tomorrow, right, Ms. Cole?
Of course, I'm as soon as I'm done, then it'll be his turn.
Well, that was
Again.
obviously, but that's what I was trying to imply. Like, what do you have an estimation on when that might be?
Yeah, I'm actually almost done. I probably could have been done today if we hadn't had this conversation.
Okay.
So it's very, very little left.
All right. So we'll resume in the morning then. 9 o'clock. Is that what we're scheduled for? I didn't look at it.
Yes.
9 o'clock. Okay. Well, I think now's a good time to adjourn then. Is everybody, anything else we need to discuss before we adjourn? No?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, we'll come back tomorrow then. All right, we'll stand in recess. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.